Hello, and welcome to day 2 of Engineering Mastery Academy's training on project management tools. I'm your host, Brian Wood, and today I'm going to be talking about Gantt charts. Today's training is going to be more about actually getting into the tool and using it. So I want to, sorry, closed a file here. Let me get it open real quick. While I'm opening this file, so today I'm going to be going over very briefly about what a Gantt chart is. Most people on this call have probably seen it at one time or another, whether you've used one yourself or somebody in a meeting has used one. So I'm not going to go over a lot of the details about the Gantt chart. I'm going to get right into how do you use one. So let's get going here. Let's see. Okay, not working. Let's try this. There we go. Okay, so here you see the Gantt chart. Before we actually go into using it, though, I want to talk about why we want to use a Gantt chart. The number one reason, as you can see on the screen, it gives you a visual representation of what you're going to be doing. Excuse me. You have a list of tasks, and you can actually see what time it's going to take, how long it's going to take for each task. You can also see dependencies. For example, phase 1 tasks all have to be completed before you can do phase 2, maybe, for an example. In which case you would be able to see, are all these tasks completed before we start the other tasks? Now, this is a default. This is the exact file you will see if you download from Microsoft. The link to download this file is in the worksheet, or in the instruction sheet. And so this is not set up for my talk. I want you to see it exactly the way you will see it when you download the file. So you get to see visually where everything's at. It gives you the dependencies, and it also is really good for presenting to upper management. They don't want to see usually how each person is doing each task. They want to see, for example, how is phase 1 doing? What are the tasks? What are the percent completions of the tasks? Is it on target? Is it on schedule? That's the number one thing. Now, this Gantt chart, they've changed from the previous one they had. This does not give you such a clear indication of what's on target. I'll be posting inside the Facebook group a different version I have, where it gives you more visual reference for, hey, something's falling behind. Okay, so before you start using the Gantt chart, though, what do you need to know? Well, first of all, let's take a look at the chart itself. You want to make sure that you understand what are your phases, or what they call it phases in here. You want to understand what are your big deliverables. Since I'm working with manufacturing right now, let's talk about manufacturing. Let's put in a sample right here on the spot. Let's say phase 1 is going to be procure equipment. Okay, for the first task hold on a second. That wasn't supposed to happen. There. So let's say procure equipment. Let's zoom in here a little bit. For the first task might be to identify a new tool. Then you're going to have to order the tool. And at some point you take delivery of the tool. And then let's leave it at that for now. So let's say these are the tasks you have. I'm just going to come over here, select these cells and delete them. So let's say over here, we're going to start this, today's 8/12. Okay, we're going to start this on 8/12. This one. Oh, okay, so the way they have this up right now, if you see this F9 up here, They have it set so that the next task starts at the end of the first task. But we might not want that. In this case, we do. We want to order the tool. But so we're going to start ordering the tool. Ordering the tool is going to take 1 day. So I'm going to change the end over here to 8:15. That's going to be a quick task. Take delivery of the tool. Let's say it's going to be a 2-week delivery. That's going to put us out to 8:27, 29. So now you see here, you're gonna order the tool. You're gonna have to wait for 2 weeks for delivery, and then you're gonna implement. And right now, these aren't complete at all. Let's say you're halfway done identifying the new tool. So this shows you that you're halfway done identifying the tool. You have to get it done by Monday, so you can get it ordered so you can get it by then. Now, these required dates quite often are going to depend on other tasks down the line. So for example, let's say phase 2 is implementing the tool. Now, implementing the tool might be the entire sum of the project, but let's say after you implement the tool, what you're trying to do actually is release a product. Let's say you're releasing a new version of the product that needs the new tool. And let's say you have a drop dead date. This has to be released by the end of September. So I'm going to say, let's say 9/20. And it's going to be start at 9/20, it's going to end on 9/20. I'm going to say release new rev. All right, so now if I zoom back out a little bit, let's go ahead and just delete all these that no. Now, one other thing, I jumped right into using the tool. I forgot to mention that if you're going to use this tool, what you should start with is by deleting all of the tasks 2 through whatever, unless you know that you're going to need those. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to delete those tasks. I'm going to delete these tasks. Delete this. Excuse me. And these are extra, so I'm going to delete those. So now we see we have to have our due date for having all this done is going to be September 20th, which means implementing the tool has to be done by September 20th. Now, as I did this, it broke some of the equations in there. I'll be giving you a different tool in the group that won't have that problem. But what you can always do is forget about the equations they have filled in there and just manually enter the dates yourself. And honestly, quite often, your tasks are not going to start. They might be dependent on each other, but that does not mean that a task won't start until the one's completely finished. For example, you might have one task that's going to take 2 weeks. And the next task down below that needs to have the first week of that first task done before they can start that. So there's dependencies that will start in the middle. So when you're doing the project plan, don't rely on this automation they have in here of starting the next task at the very end of the previous one. Go through and think about each task on your own, even if you know that there's dependencies. A lot of times you can start with the following task before the first one's completely finished. So now we have here, and let's say implementing the tool is going to take 3 weeks. So what I would do here is I'd work backwards. Okay, I need 9/20 is when it has to be fully done. If it's going to take 3 weeks, I'm going to say equals this minus 3 weeks is 21 days, so minus 21. That's when it has to start. I'm gonna have to start at 8:30. Well, I can't start if I have to take delivery of it. I'm not gonna take delivery of it until it looks like. Well, actually, it turned out to work because it's not gonna take a week to. Well, let's say taking delivery is gonna take a few. It's gonna take a week. It's gonna take time to be delivered. Maybe you're in a larger company. It has to be processed, go through different departments before it gets to you. In this case, you would see that if it arrives at the door on the 29th, I'm not going to have it in time, which means I'm going to have to accelerate delivery, or I'm going to have to find a way to get some portions of this done before I take delivery. For example, maybe you're planning to set up the station to do all the wiring for the station after it arrives. Maybe you can do that before you actually have the tool, so that when you get the tool, you can plug it in and save yourself a few days. But this gives you a really quick visual reference to say, hey, wait, this overlaps. I cannot implement the tool. Just call this implement. I cannot implement the tool until I've got delivery. So this gives you a very quick reference. Once you have your deliverables in and the steps needed to deliver them, it gives you lightning fast reference to say, I've got a problem here, I need to adjust something. Now, why am I looking at problems? Why do I care it's showing me problems? Because if you have no problems, then the visual reference to say everything's on track is only good for reporting to management. You don't care about reporting to yourself everything's on track. So looking at this will help you know that you are on track. It'll help you remind you, oh, that's right, I need to order the tool by this time, so I better get the identification of the tool done. It will help you in that regard. But for me, the biggest thing is if I've got this structured right and I've got my other tools in place, keeping me productive, then this is only going to be a place where I record, uh-oh, something is slipping, or somebody pulled a request in. Let's say they decide, oh, well, this release date needs to be pulled forward. You would change this to 8.5, say. Oops, change this one to 8.5. Oh, it disappeared. That's 8.12. Somebody tries to pull it in here and say, I haven't started. There's no way we can get this product released. Don't be surprised if marketing does things like this too. This is why you want to have a tool like this in place, that when somebody does say, hey, I want to pull this in, you can show them this Gantt chart and say, I can't pull this in. This is the time it takes. This is the earliest I can possibly pull it in, which leads me to another point, which is when you build this Gantt chart, give yourself wiggle room. If it's going to take you a day, give yourself 2 days. If it's going to take you 2 weeks, give yourself 2.5 weeks. Make sure you have some buffer built into it so that when you are pressed that you have to get it done faster, you can pull away some of that buffer, or better yet, you can under-promise, over-deliver and get things done sooner. If you can come in under time, under budget, it's always a good thing for you. Pardon me again. I don't know what I ate this morning. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have for the training for today. Enjoy your week, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining.